Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Preview video for the quarterfinal between Novak Djokovic and Andrei Rublev. We're going to break it down. Before we do, though, remember to hit that like button and do subscribe if you are new. Also, do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Okay, we're going to talk about what could be an entertaining quarterfinal, but in my eyes, probably a relatively straightforward one. What we're going to do is we're going to first very briefly talk about their playing styles you can see on screen. Then I'm going to share with you guys some tennis analytics from the Tennis Insights platform. They do have their Instagram page as well. They've done all the insights and data for the ATP Tour Finals. Recently, you would have seen all the stats like in attack, forehand, backhand metrics. So really giving everything quantifying every attribute or a lot of the attributes that these tennis players have. Then I'm going to talk about the head-to-head between the two and also their run to semi-finals, or sorry, to the quarterfinals even, and how they've looked, and then give you guys an idea of what to look out for, the strengths and weaknesses in each player, patterns of play we might end up seeing, and then ultimately give you guys my prediction as well. So for here, you can see Djokovic's solid baseliner in terms of playing style, attacking baseliner for Rublev as well. Not really any surprises with those two characterizations anyway. What we're going to do is, as I said, we're just going to very quickly go over a little bit about what these guys bring to the table. Now, talking about this, obviously, you would be thinking, well, Andrei Rublev, Novak Djokovic, both these guys are, extremely good players. They've also been in the top 10 as well for, quite a few years now, actually, as well. I know Rublev dropped out for a little bit, but generally he's been in there, in and around that top 10. So what I would say is, these guys know how to play against the top players. For Rublev, he hasn't had the best of times against the top players, but for Djokovic, he's been in and around it for a very long time. So let me just bring up that stat that I was talking about. Now, that's an interesting one, the Djokovic one. We'll get onto that in a second. But first of all, what I want to do is highlight this. So hopefully you guys can see it well enough. Now, this is a interesting little diagram, which I think really highlights exactly what's going on with Novak Djokovic and also Andrei Rublev. So the player in red, or the stats in red, are Novak Djokovic. The stats in blue are Andrei Rublev. Now you can see there's like this interesting little kind of, shape, I guess, which shapes their overall characteristics. So the black dots here, they are the tour average shape, I guess, or characteristic attribute shape, if you will. For Rublev, he's in blue. Look at Djokovic. I mean, obviously, the more area you have in terms of stats, the better, right? And look how well balanced Djokovic's diagram is. It's incredible. Diagram is probably the right way of putting it. So let's talk about serve quality. So the tour average is 7.5. Djokovic is 8.1, and Rublev 7.9. So pretty impressive as well, both above the serve, the tour average even. For return quality, 6.5 is the tour average. Djokovic is at 7.3, so well beyond the tour average. For Rublev at 6.9. Forehand quality, Djokovic at 8.8 and Rublev at 7.9 in comparison to the 7.2 average. Backhand quality, the average is 7. Djokovic at 7.9. I mean, incredible. Rublev at 7.3. Steal percentage, Djokovic at 35%, so he's above it. Rublev at 30%, he's below that number. Baseline battle, 50% for the tour average, 58% for Djokovic, 52% for Rublev. What I would say is that in terms of the steal ability, you can see that's pretty telling. I mean, a lot of that's down to do with the mental capacity as well of the player, but also defensive ability. And we know how good Djokovic is defensively, and he's able to turn it from defense to attack and win points where you wouldn't expect him to win from that position. Rublev, maybe the opposite, defensively needs a little bit of more work on his game. He's not really seen as someone who's defensively able to claw back points and then end up winning them. So that kind of is in keeping with, in my opinion anyway, in keeping with my thoughts on that. In terms of conversion, 68% is the breakpoint average, and 73% is Djokovic's figure, 70% Rublev. In attack, they're actually equal at 25% apiece. The tour average is 22%. And that's where we're at. So that's interesting. Rublev, it doesn't do anything better than Djokovic. That's what this diagram is telling us. When it comes to in attack, which I guess Rublev's whole game is based upon being very attacking and being able to blow opponents off the court and be aggressive and make them uncomfortable, so they're always on the defense. This, to be honest with you, and even then he's only on par with Djokovic. Everything else, Djokovic is in front. That's not to say that Rublev can't win, but the stats are telling in that sense. But you'll have to hope, I think, Djokovic doesn't have a particularly good day at the office. In terms of Djokovic's evolving in attack over time, this diagram is really interesting. So from 2015, he was at 21%, 2016, 20%. Look at this. He's then soared from 20% to 22%. So when in attack means when you are attacking in some way, shape, or form in a point. So he's gone from 2016, 20% to 2018, 22%. Then he rose another 1% to 2020. Dipped in 2021, but then to 22%, back to 22%. But he's gone from 20% in 2016 to 25% in 2023. So over the space of 7 years, his attack percentage has risen by 5%, which is very interesting. And what's highlighted, I guess, is the fact that in the ATP Tour Finals in 2021, against Rublev in the ATP, so this is when they both played each other. Djokovic was at 20% in 2021, and Rublev was at 26%. Djokovic in 2022, when he absolutely dismantled Rublev in straight sets, 31%, Rublev at 23%. So a dip from Rublev's in attack. For Djokovic, more than 11% increase. So pretty impressive. Yeah, that's an interesting stat and some interesting insights there as well. So thank you to them as well for those stats. And they are readily available on Instagram, so anyone can check them out. It's quite intriguing, and it gives you a good insight into what it's about. Let's quickly then look at their run to the quarterfinals as well, and who they've played, how much time they've had on court. I know Djokovic hasn't had much time on court at all. He hasn't had a clean sweep where he's not lost a set, but that doesn't really matter with him, honestly. It never has for quite a few years now. Let's then look at these matches. So you can see here, Rublev last played Rune. He had to save match points against him and then ended up winning in the end. But yeah, he was actually down in that match in the fifth set. A breakdown. Rune was serving for it. He was 4-15 up. He didn't convert. And just a crazy match. In the end, Rublev winning in a final set tiebreaker on the third match point, if I'm not mistaken. He also beat Dan Evans in straight sets. That was a good win. Rusevorian 4. Dominic Thiem in straight set. So, some good wins there. For Djokovic, though, you can see this dismantling of players. De Minaur was absolutely blown away. Dimitrov, he struggled with the hammy a little bit, his hamstring that is, but still came through in straight sets. Quad dropped one set, a tiebreaker, but 1 in 4. And Carballes Baena won in straight sets as well. So it's been pretty plain sailing for Djokovic. The biggest, factor, or the biggest problem that he's had is his hamstring, but it looks like it's okay after playing against Alex de Minaur. He's managed to, I think he has some strapping on. It looks like he's got some extra bit of tape or strapping just at the bottom of that little bandage or kind of strapping around his hamstring. He's got a little bit of extra tape there, and I don't know if that helps, but it also looks like maybe he'd had some sort of pain injection or pain relief, and that probably would have helped as well. How much damage that might do to him in the medium to long term, I don't know. But at the moment, he says he's feeling good. So I don't expect him to have now any more issues with the hamstring until after the tournament's over. So he beat Rublev in straight sets, as you can see here in the ATP Tour Finals in 2022. Rublev, which I mentioned earlier, beat him in Belgrade, but Djokovic, not at the type of level and not match ready or match fit really at all. So it wasn't really a good indicator, and also it's a different surface anyway. And then in the ATP Finals in 2021, Djokovic also won straight sets. So they never played a best of 5 match. That, to be fair, plays into Djokovic's hands being a best of 5 match, because we know the GOATs, they all play better in best of 5 because they know how to manage themselves a lot better over a 5-setter. In terms of then how's this going to play out? How does it look? You saw the stats, right? The analytics, the data from people who are much smarter than me. You've seen also the head-to-head on what it looks like, and also the opponents these guys have faced. And I find it really difficult to see how Rublev wins this. And the reason why is there's a couple of factors. And the first one is Djokovic is so good in rallies. His shot tolerance is like impeccable, that I don't see how Rublev is going to be able to induce errors from Djokovic. The only way that he can beat Djokovic is by hitting clean winners after clean winner after clean winner after clean winner. I don't see him outthinking Djokovic, and in the backhand to backhand exchanges, he's gonna hurt a lot. I know his backhand is much improved than it is Rublev. I think, to be honest with you, if I was him, I would try and go line first with the backhand, because his backhand on the line is actually quite solid. And the only issue he's going to have is that Djokovic is very good at defending on that forehand side and actually maneuvering the forehand cross court at a pretty nice angle from an attacking standpoint, even on the stretch. And then Rublev, to be fair though, might not mind that, because his forehand cross court is one of the best in the game. So if I was Rublev, I would try and get involved in that exchange. But the issue is, the stats are telling me that actually Djokovic still has a better forehand. And given how good it's been over the last couple of years, I'm not going to argue with it, because especially behind the serve and how he now attacks with it. In the past, he would be happy to go to the backhand, but now, because it's just so reliable, it's so good. But now with the forehand, he will go into him with the forehand if he wants to attack. He will go into out. He will open up on that side and say, no, I'm going to really hurt you. I'm not just going to break you down with my backhand. I'm going to destroy you with my forehand. And it's a really interesting thing to see, because he has evolved and he continues to evolve as well, especially with that forehand, which I think people should be wary of, because what it means is that he's now got even more modes to slip into. He can slip into attacking mode and take the point and the games away from you. He can defend when needed and be elastic and still defend well and win points when he shouldn't, which is that steal that we were talking about earlier, that steal percentage. And now he's also able to transition well and come to the net, and that's been something he's clearly been working on. He's got Ivanisevic in his box, who is a fantastic serve and volleyer, and he even at times will come and serve and volley and does it very effectively. So for Andrei Rublev, as a player, you've got a lot of things to think about. And the problem is you're thinking about how can I make him feel uncomfortable? How can I win against Djokovic? And the answer is I'm not quite sure at this stage, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think a lot of it will be down to the mental side. I do think, if you blow him off the court, it is possible to blow off the court, but you either have to do that, or you have to be someone like a Medvedev who can really stick with him in those grueling rallies, pull him into something physical like that, and then you somehow have to miss less than him, which isn't easy. So it becomes extremely tough, honestly, in my opinion anyway, it becomes extremely tough to understand how this match plays out other than a Djokovic win. I think Rublev is going to have to play extremely well. He's going to have to serve extremely well if he wants to even have a chance of taking Djokovic through a tiebreaker, because he'll need to hit his spots on the first serve, hit a lot of first serves in as well. Hope that Djokovic doesn't read it as well. He'll need to try and mix up a little bit. I don't imagine Rublev's going to come forward and serve and volley, for example. But what he needs to do is maybe try and come forward a little bit. I've seen him do it slightly more in the past 6 months or so, and I think that's probably because a lot of these players have seen someone like Alcaraz do it against players, and he's done it effectively, and he's athletic. But someone like Rublev is also athletic, and if you've got good enough hands, why not? I think he needs to try and utilize a drop shot if he can. I know it's not his forte, Rublev, but I've also seen that's something he's been working on. He needs to do something different against Djokovic. If he does what Dimitrov did against Djokovic, he's got no chance. What Dimitrov did is he almost had scar tissue from all the losses to Djokovic in the past. And rather than trying to stretch him, make it uncomfortable for him, use angles, given that Djokovic was struggling with his hamstring, he just kind of thought, I'll rally with you and try and get you to break down the rallies. And I was like, he's not going to miss. He's not having to move very much. So it doesn't matter if his hamstring's hurting. He's still able to take a couple of steps and plant and bang. And he destroyed him in the end. So I think Rublev has to be clever. He needs to really find that angle on his forehand side. Make Djokovic feel uncomfortable, from the back of the court. Make sure that he can't dictate constantly. The slice from Rublev, not the best. And I think we'll actually see Djokovic slice that backhand a fair bit to try and disrupt the rhythm of Rublev. Because for Rublev, what he wants is rhythm from the back of the court. And the baseline exchanges, what he wants is balls coming at him at a similar pace and similar spin so that he's able to develop a rhythm in that exchange and then really go all out in his attacking game, because he trusts what's coming back to him. If Djokovic starts slicing or even hitting like short slices cross court and then dragging Rublev forward, Rublev's going to find that uncomfortable, to be honest with you. And then at the net, he might be a little bit, he might feel a little bit like a stranger at the net, to be honest with you, and feel uncomfortable being there. So the more I talk about this, the more I just think it's a very tough matchup for Rublev. I just think he's tailor-made for him, honestly. He's someone, someone like a Holger Rune, who Rublev just beat. I was actually hoping that he would come through, because I thought he'd give Djokovic a sterner test. Not that he would beat him, but he would give him some sort of test after beating him in the Paris Masters recently. And the only reason why I think he would is because his backhand can actually stand up against Djokovic's. Rublev's can't, not at all. And then also what Rune did is he can actually match Djokovic in athleticism. I think Rublev has fantastic athleticism as well, but maybe not quite to that level. We'll see how it plays out. I have a feeling as well on the return games, Rublev's return is not the best, and Djokovic hits his spots like top 3 in the world right now. The way he hits his spots is just incredible. He's not serving quicker than everyone else. He's not, banging in 20 aces every single match, but there's a lot of aces in, there's a lot of unreturnable serves in. There is a lot of serves which he sets up for an easy volley at the net, or for the 1+ shot, it's the forehand and he hurts you with that. It's either a winner or he gets into the rally, he's on the front foot and he pushes and presses and you end up making an error, or he ends up hitting a winner. So, the serve has become an incredible weapon, and something that, people should fear. And the problem is he's already arguably the best return of all time. His serve is now up there as well. There's not really much else to talk about and really criticize with Djokovic, because there's just too many tools that he's able to execute, and his shot selection normally is impeccable. For Rublev, he's going to have to try and keep the mistakes to a minimum, but still keep up the aggression. So that's going to be the hard part for him. Can he hit the ball at 90-95% for most of the time and not make mistakes? I'm not so sure, or not make mistakes in big moments, because I feel like that's what Dimitrov did. He didn't handle the big points very well at all. Let's see if Andrei Rublev can make sure that doesn't happen, and he really does try to press on those big and important points. For Djokovic, though, he'll feel pretty confident going into this, I would imagine. And, I feel like he also might be thinking, how do I lose this guy? Because if he plays anywhere near the level he played against Alex de Minaur, it's going to be a very, very difficult day for Andrei Rublev. But we'll see. If the roof's on, you might say that's an advantage to Rublev. It's not, because Djokovic is the best indoor player I think we've ever seen, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't think there's any scenario that Rublev ends up winning this unless Djokovic's hamstring suddenly becomes really tough for him to play with and he's almost on one leg. I just don't see how it's possible, honestly. So we'll see how it all plays out. But my prediction is Djokovic in straight sets. Rublev does have weapons, of course. The into-out forehand, I haven't really talked about his weapons. His into-out forehand is really good. And I think that's the one thing he might have to do is he's got great movement around that side. And if Djokovic isn't careful finding the good angles on the backhand or on the into-out forehand, he might get hurt with Rublev's into-out forehand. And on the stretch on the backhand, he's probably the best out there. But even he can struggle defensively on that backhand side on the stretch. So especially against someone like a Rublev or a Tsitsipas, who have fantastic into-out forehands and can hit it flat and with pace, it's not the easiest to pick up and defend against. That's one of the things he's got going for him, and also his first serve. But the problem is that Djokovic is such a good returner that I'm not sure how much of an advantage that might be. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be intriguing. I imagine that Djokovic, as I said, is going to win in straight sets, but I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? Is there anything that you think I missed out in terms of the analysis and you think is a really important point? Let me know, guys. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the next video.